Hi, I am Samuel. You are welcome to Learning Destination. Now you are watching to learn English easiest way. आसान कुछ नहीं होता, आसान बनानी पड़ती है. Just smile and connect with me. मैं आपके साथ हूँ. While watching this video till the end, you will develop confidence to frame, make simple present interrogative sentence. That means you will learn to make questions. Guys, if you have not subscribed Learning Destination, please like, subscribe, comment and share. Why to delay? Let us get into the our topic, and today's topic is how to make present simple interrogative sentences. Here you can see on the screen the structure of simple present interrogative sentence. That means what, when, why, where, how, plus do or does, plus subjects. Which are subjects? I, you, we, they, he, she, it, plus v1. That means root form of the verb. That's way we are going to practice. It is easy, and when you practice it's become easier. Let us practice. Don't go anyway, stay connected and practice. What do I play? When do I play? Why do I play? Where do I play? How do I play? What do you play? When do you play? Why do you play? Where do you play? How do you play? What do we play? When do we play? Why do we play? Where do we play? How do we play? What do they play? When do they play? Why do they play? Where do they play? How do they play? And it is turn of he, she, it. The formula will be WH. That means what, when, why, where, how, plus subject plus v1. That means root form of the verb. What does he play? When does he play? Why does he play? Where does he play? How does he play? What does she play? When does she play? Why does she play? Where does she play? How does it play? What does it play? When does it play? Why does it play? Where does it play? How does it play? And now, instead of he, we are going to replace the name of person, or we can replace it as relations like a brother, friend. Got it? What does Raz play? When does Raz play? Why does Raz play? Where does Raz play? How does Raz play? Instead of Raz, we can tell brother. What does my brother play? When does my brother play? Why does my brother play? Where does my brother play? How does my brother play? And it is the turn of she. Instead of she, we can use Rani. What does Rani play? When does Rani play? Why does Rani play? Where does Rani play? How does Rani play? Instead of Rani, we can use sister. What does my sister play? When does my sister play? Why does my sister play? Where does my sister play? How does my sister play? Instead of it, we can replace it with cat or dog. Let us replace it with cat. What does cat play? When does cat play? Why does cat play? Where does cat play? How does cat play? Okay, now it is the V1 that we are going to change. Instead of play, we are now going to practice with go word. When do I go? Why do I go? Where do I go? How do I go? When do you go? Why do you go? Where do you go? How do you go? When do we go? Why do we go? Where do we go? How do we go? When do they go? Why do they go? Where do they go? How do they go? Yes. When does he go? Why does he go? Where does he go? How does he go? Instead of he, we can use Ras. When does Ras go? Why does Ras go? Where does Ras go? How does Ras go? Again, same thing we are going to practice. Instead of Ras, we are going to replace it. My brother. When does my brother go? Why does my brother go? Where does my brother go? How does my brother go? Now it is turn she. When does she go? Why does she go? Where does she go? How does she go? Instead of she, we can replace it Rani. When does Rani go? Why does Rani go? Where does Rani go? How does Rani go? When does my sister go? Why does my sister go? Where does my sister go? How does my sister go? Similarly, we can use different relations like my mother, my aunt. Okay? When does it go? Why does it go? Where does it go? How does it go? When does cat go? Why does cat go? Where does cat go? How does cat go? When do I travel? Why do I travel? Where do I travel? How do I travel? When do you travel? Why do you travel? Where do you travel? How do you travel? When do we travel? Why do we travel? Where do we travel? How do we travel? When do they travel? Why do they travel? Where do they travel? How do they travel? When does she travel? Why does she travel? Where does she travel? How does she travel? When does my auntie travel? Why does my aunt travel? Where does my aunt travel? How does my aunt travel? When does he travel? Why does he travel? Where does he travel? How does he travel? Instead of he, we can replace with Raz. When does Raz travel? Why does Raz travel? Where does Raz travel? How does Raz travel? When does my father travel? Why does my father travel? Where does my father travel? How does my father travel? When does it travel? Why does it travel? Where does it travel? How does it travel? Come on, guys. Continue practice with me. This practice will make your English learning easier, as I told you from the beginning. What do I speak? When do I speak? Why do I speak? Where do I speak? How do I speak? What do you speak? When do you speak? Why do you speak? Where do we speak? How do we speak? What do they speak? When do they speak? Why do they speak? Where do they speak? How do they speak? What does he speak? When does he speak? Why does he speak? Where does he speak? How does he speak? What does Raj speak? When does Raj speak? Why does Raj speak? Where does Raj speak? How does Raj speak? What does my friend speak? When does my friend speak? Why does my friend speak? Where does my friend speak? How does my friend speak? What does she speak? When does she speak? Why does she speak? Where does she speak? How does she speak? And we are not going to practice for it because it implies animals or any objects. As we know, animal or objects, they can't speak. That's what. Let us move forward. Let us go and study. What do I study? When do I study? Why do I study? Where do I study? How do I study? What do you study? When do you study? Where do you study? Where do you study? How do you study? What do we study? When do we study? Why do we study? Where do we study? How do we study? What do they study? When do they study? Why do they study? Where do they study? How do they study? What does he study? When does she study? Why does she study? Where does she study? How does she study? What does she study? When does she study? Why does she study? Where does she study? How does she study? He, we can use any male name or any male relations like uncle. What does my uncle study? When does my uncle study? Where does my uncle study? Where does my uncle study? How does my uncle study? Instead of she, we can use sister. What does my sister study? When does my sister study? Why does my sister study? Where does my sister study? How does my sister study? And it is not applicable because objects and animals, they can't study. And now it is turn of work. When do I work? Why do I work? Where do I work? How do I work? When do you work? Why do you work? Where do you work? How do you work? When do we work? Why do we work? Why do we work? Where do we work? How do we work? When do they work? Why do they work? Where do they work? How do they work? What does he work? Why does he work? Where does he work? How does he work? When does she work? Why does she work? Where does she work? How does she work? Instead of he and she, we can replace instead of he, we can replace father. When does my father work? Why does my father work? Where does my father work? How does my father work? When does my mother work? Why does my mother work? Where does my mother work? How does my mother work? When does it work? Why does it work? Where does it work? How does it work? Guys, I believe that if you have listened and if you are continuously practicing again and again, your English learning will become easier. Nothing is shortcut. It may be easy, but to acquire, to speak fluently, you need to practice. And 15 minutes is just, it can add to your fluency and how to make sentences, especially how to make simple present interrogative sentences. If you are benefited, if you have liked, please again like, subscribe, comment and share. Thank you for practicing with me.